I'm Julie Zenner along with Dennis Anderson, and here's what's coming up on Almanac North.
Well, for the first time since it became a state, Minnesota is on the brink of allowing liquor to be sold on Sunday following historic votes in the House and Senate.
We'll talk with the producers of two new documentaries set to air for the first time next week here on WDSE. The topics are beer and hockey.
And we'll have the week's business headlines and a news file story from 25 years ago.
It's all up next on Almanac North. Hello and welcome to Almanac North. Thanks for watching. This week's show was recorded on Wednesday, so our studio could be prepared for the March membership drive, which begins this weekend. And we'll have more on that a little bit later in the show, but now here's Denny with our first topic.
All right, Julie, thank you so very much and welcome everyone. Well, it's been a long time coming, but Minnesota may soon allow Sunday liquor sales for the first time since it became a state back in 1858. Well, after passionate debate, the Senate passed the Sunday sales bill following House passage of a similar bill. Now, a conference committee will have to agree on the time Sunday sales will be allowed, but the governor says he will sign the bill if it reaches his desk. It's the end of a multi-year process that Roger Reinert was heavily involved in. He, of course, a former Democratic state senator from Duluth. And Roger, welcome. Thank you very much. Listen, this has to feel something of a victory for you. You carried this for a long time.
I did. It was a bill I authored when I first went to the legislature 8 years ago, and every year after that. You know, the first few years, I just had to laugh at the multi-year because it certainly has been, and I like to think I put a few chinks in the wall while I was there. You know, we did some things that I think were really helpful, not only for this issue, but for our growing craft industry here in Duluth. And, you know, one of the reasons I was always really supportive of this is that we do have this booming craft industry, and overhead and revenue in those first few years is so important for them to be successful. And they've got the infrastructure built out, so you might as well allow for 7 days of sales.
Mm-hmm. For people who are not really familiar with the history, what are the origins of the ban on Sunday liquor sales and other blue laws in the state?
Well, I mean, it's primarily a religious one, with Sunday being in the Christian faith a day of worship, and it is mostly just stayed that way. The argument now would not be that. The opponents would say, we just want a day off. And I think one of the arguments that we made in opposition to that was most industries would love a day off, especially service industries. You know, and at some point or another, virtually every service industry had to make this transition. Restaurants, retail establishments, you know, there was a time when none of those were open on Sundays. And so this and auto dealers are really the last vestiges of the blue laws in Minnesota.
There wasn't total support from Northland lawmakers. Why was
no
that?
support, actually.
Why was that?
Well, I think what they heard from, you know, there really were two distinct audiences on this. One was store owners, and in many communities they're municipal, so the community owns the store. And the other, on the other side, was just consumers who wanted to have that option. And so, you know, it kind of depended on which audience you were listening to the most and which one you maybe had most empathy for on the argument. You know, for me, it's just funny. I'm not a big drinker, rarely, in fact, so my friends think this is pretty funny. But it's always been you know, there isn't a real reason anymore to have this separation, and there's no harm by letting businesses choose to be open and letting consumers choose to make that choice. And, you know, other legislators viewed it differently.
Now, you mentioned the municipal liquor stores. How many municipal liquor stores are there in in the state. Is there a large number, and how much do these communities depend on that revenue?
There are still a large number, especially in small town Minnesota, and many of them it's a significant contributor to their city budget. Now, it should be said, and Denny, you noted, there's a slight difference between the House and Senate bill. I do think they're going to skip a conference committee and that the House will just take the Senate's version, pass it, and send it to the governor. So this could be pretty quick in coming. But there is still an underlying local control. So, and I always was very comfortable with that. If you can't convince your city council or county board, whoever the governing jurisdiction is, to allow for Sunday sales, then so be it. That reflects the norms and the mores of your local community. The very same thing happened when we allowed growler sales on Sundays 2 years ago. You had to get the Duluth City Council to pass an ordinance saying that was okay. And in many places in Minnesota, they've not done that. So it will reflect the communities around the state and the economics and the mores of that local community.
And speaking of economics, what extra tax revenues do you think Minnesota will see as a result of this?
Well, the estimates are anywhere from $15 million on the low end to $150 million on the high end. One of the issues or one of the problems with moving this issue forward was always that the fiscal estimate we'd get on the bill would come back as zero, that there was a net wash, that if someone went to a liquor store on a Sunday, it meant they weren't going to the bar on a Sunday. And I think most of us know that that's pretty much not the way it happens. If you're having folks over, you might go to the store and get something for dinner on Sunday. But if you want to go out and watch the Vikings game, you go out and watch the Vikings game. It's not an even trade. So the best comparison we have is Colorado. About 10 years ago, Colorado went open on Sunday, and it's Colorado is very comparable in terms of geography, distribution of population, and total population. And they saw year-over-year growth in their tax revenues and year-over-year growth in their sales.
Could this be a particular benefit for border communities like Duluth, where people are running across to Wisconsin when they need alcohol on Sundays now?
Well, I think there's two parts to that. One is, before Minnesota allowed our bars to extend closing time, we all knew to stay off the bridge, right, after midnight. I mean, it was just sort of an unspoken reality. I think there is, frankly, a public safety benefit to letting people stay a little closer to home. But I do also think that for regional communities, liquor stores don't just happen to be at the foot of every single bridge from Minnesota to Wisconsin. That's the market saying something. So keeping those sales in state and the border towns is going to be helpful. And it also matters in regional centers. And that's why I like the idea that local jurisdiction will still have that control. Because in some parts of Minnesota, it won't make sense, and so they won't be open.
Do you anticipate any social problems because of Sunday sales?
The social argument is one I'm empathetic to. I have seen the harm that alcoholism does to people and to families. But to me, that was always an argument for prohibition. There's no good reason why Sunday versus Saturday versus Tuesday. The social costs are still there, and we have to address them. But to say not at all is an argument about prohibition. We have made a decision as a society that this is a legal product that adults can consume. So then there's no good distinction between Sunday versus any other day of the week.
What about the distinction with Sunday in the hours? Why is there the quibbling over what hours it should be open? Shouldn't it just be a regular work day, in theory?
I would say yes, but progress, as we know, takes time. So I think both the House and Senate bills still reflect, people going to church on Sunday morning. And so I think the House bill, one bill has 10 o'clock and one bill has an 11 o'clock opening time. And frankly, from my standpoint, fine. This is, as you noted in the introduction, it's state history. This has never been allowed. And that means Minnesota is one of only 12 states in the country that still doesn't. And I always thought, we're a state that passed marriage equality, we're a state that passed medical marijuana, but beer on Sundays, too far. You can't go there.
Roger, you mentioned blue laws early on in the interview. There's only about one blue law left in the state of Minnesota. That's Sunday auto sales.
Right.
Do you see someday, is anybody trying right now in the legislature to get rid of that?
Not really, and I never did. To me, there was always a pretty clear distinction between, again, having people over maybe Sunday night for dinner and realizing you wanted to get a bottle of wine or a local brew, and impulse buying a car. I mean, they're just very different purchases. So ironically, the argument the opponents would always use that you should plan ahead to make your beer or wine purchase is the argument I would use on the auto sales. I think you can plan ahead to buy a car. You're not going to suddenly Sunday morning find yourself wishing you were buying a car today. So, maybe one day. The reality is most families now are 2 working adults. Most families do their shopping on the weekend, and it's Sunday 2 to 1 over Saturday. So maybe that pressure will be there someday, but there's no movement afoot in Minnesota to change that. So auto dealers, I think you're safe.
Mm-hmm. And there is a push by some of your former colleagues now to legalize recreational marijuana.
Oh.
What
I've not followed that.
haven't you? Well, it could impact liquor sales. Any thoughts on that? Or?
Well, I mean, to me, that I always felt like this was something that we could look at legalizing and taxing. I'm curious to see. I would take a much more cautious approach because it's not something we have a universal decision on, and the federal government still says it's illegal. So I'm comfortable with where Minnesota is at, and I think my advice would be let's pay attention to the states that have already gone before us.
Quickly, when would stores be allowed to open? What month?
Most likely, if the governor signs it, July 2nd will be the first Sunday that you would be able to make a purchase.
Just a few months away.
Yep.
Former State Senator Roger Reinert, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Now, let's dig into our news file archive for a look at what was making news 25 years ago this week.
This is what it's like to drive today's modern snowmobile. It's a sleek, powerful machine designed to carry you over the snow, some faster than others. Experts say the sensation can be addicting.
Speed is everything for some of the young people, and some of the muscle sleds we've got now, they're over 100 miles an hour right out of the crate with no tinkering at all on them.
That concerns Darrell Barber because he sells snowmobiles. He says these machines have come a long way since the old clunkers of the 1960s. Many of the engines are bigger and suspensions more advanced, and drivers need to be more responsible.
They're picking up the super powerful muscle sleds, and they just don't respect what they've got under them. They're not following the rules of the road out on the trails.
Perhaps most alarming is this statistic. Wisconsin DNR officials say over the last decade, in 54% of the state's snowmobile fatalities, its victims were legally drunk at the time of the accident. More than 70% had some alcohol in their system. That's where local law enforcement is stepping in with alcohol checkpoints out on the trails.
Part of the idea behind the snowmobile checkpoints, which we've been doing and which we will continue to do, is simply to heighten the public's awareness that there is a problem.
Because until the problem is solved, many of these happy trails could sooner or later become tragic ones. Ryan Davenport, KDLH News.
WDSE WRPT is gearing up for the March membership drive, which begins this weekend. Bringing you the passion and pastimes of our neighbors in the region are at the heart of what we do here at Public Television. And next week, 2 new local documentaries will make their debut. They are Brew North, a beer story, and Minnesota Hockey, Land of 10,000 Rinks. Joining us now is Karen Sunderman, the producer of Brew North. And Grell is the producer of Minnesota Hockey and also the producer of Almanac North. So it's very strange to have you here in the interview chair, but thanks for coming down, Greg.
First time in 25 years I've sat here. I've never been a guest on the show before, so.
All right, well, we want to talk about both of the documentaries, but let's start with the brewing. Our region has a long history of brewing, and it's really starting to grow right now again.
When we started this, it was the birth, the dying, and the rebirth of brewing in the area. And really, we've been brewing since Minnesota became a state.
Sure.
Fitger's, the beginning of the very first brewery, traces back to Fitger's Brewery in 1859, so a year after we became a state.
So
it
in
really
your
is
research,
amazing.
Karen, how big an industry was beer brewing here in the Northland prior to the craft beers being made today?
You know, I'd love to be able to give you an employment figure because that is truly an
important. There were breweries
important.
all over the place, right?
There were at least 3 in Duluth. There was a couple, I know, Northern in Superior. There were a brewery in Virginia. There was a brewery in Tower. They were assuming that the rangers needed, and the miners needed some good beverages up there. So it really is an interesting, really covers our whole area.
And there's been such a current surge in microbreweries. Is there a quality or a characteristic about our region that really attracts this kind of an industry or makes it a good fit for us?
I think there's a passion and an entrepreneurship is the commonality between history and today. That is what fuels the craft brewers of today, and it's certainly what got people going. It's like they saw a market, who's going to drink this beer? And they were putting out an incredible amount of beer. In 1910, Fitkers was putting out 78,000 barrels a year. That's incredible.
And beer drinkers today, Karen, apparently like the product that they're getting from these microbreweries. These products, are these the invention of the brewmaster for each of the microbreweries, or where do their recipes come from?
The recipes, locally, we have at least 3 or 4. We have 4 packaged breweries between Two Harbors and Duluth, and those recipes are developed kind of usually based on historic recipes. The 4 main ingredients: water, hops, yeast, and barley. There we go.
Thank you.
So they all kind of do a combination of those things, but so the brewmasters kind of riff on those and kind of rearrange them. But truly, even though we have this strong craft beer industry here, it's still only 12, 13, 14% of all the beer consumed in the country. So the big brewers are still big. So the craft brewers have their own niche. They have their own taste, but it's not everybody's taste.
And I understand that you also brought along a clip from the show. So maybe you could set that up for us.
I'd love to. We're coming out of Prohibition, which of course did a number on breweries across the country. And Fitkers and Peoples kind of eked out a living throughout Prohibition. Duluth Brewing and Malting had to shut down and retool. And Pete Kluwer picks up the story from there.
Fitkers and Peoples had the beer on the market before Duluth Brewing and Malting, but for everything I've been told, it was worth the wait.
They teased my dad because it was a German beer, but it was a brewmaster was a Norwegian.
Yeah, I think that's right.
He was quite well known as a good brewmaster.
He came up through the brewery in the early 30s and became a worker, and then he became, they call first cellar man, where he's kind of boss of all the cellars in a brew house. And then they could see that he was pretty good at it, so they thought he'd be a good brewmaster, which he was, and he was a smart guy.
Just had a uncanny mind, just smart, smart at everything, it seemed like.
It was right in the middle of a neighborhood. There were houses literally right next door to the brewery, almost literally on the brewery grounds. So that had to be interesting to have a concern like this operating, and you're living in a house literally right next door to it.
I remember it clearly. My brother and I were down there hanging around in the summertime, so asked the truck drivers and stuff if they needed any help and stuff. They were responsible for offloading and loading their trucks, so they picked the kids to do the work for them while they went and sat in the tap room. Local trucks, that was usually paid about $1 to unload all the empties and then load it up with full ones, and then get lucky, you get a semi. It was a lot of work, but it was, get $2. If you didn't get picked for work, you'd go play baseball or something.
Were you surprised at all by how much history there was out there about brewing in our region as you got started on this?
Surprised and delighted. And when you think about those early manufacturers and how they put Duluth on the map, they shipped beer all over the region.
Wow.
And they said Duluth, Minnesota right on them. So
Karen,
that's pretty cool.
A lot of beer commercials years ago touted the water used in beer commercials. Is good beer more than just good water, or does it take good water?
You need to make good water if you don't have good water. And in Duluth, we have good water. You look out at that lake and it gives you good water to start with. So that is 95% of the product. So it really helps to start with good water.
Greg Grell, you've been sitting there so patiently listening.
My friend Karen
listening
tells a
politely.
good story. So.
Yeah, but as she said before we went on the air, hockey players drink beer too. So let's.
Not in high school though. And none of those mites were drinking beer as far as I know, but our documentary kind of covers it all from the little teeny boys and girls playing hockey up to the college kids who are, excelling at their hockey, with their hockey skills.
Hockey is so much a part of our culture up here. Where do you even begin to tell the story of hockey?
That was a great question because, I've done a lot of history documentaries for public television here in Duluth, but I realized right away that in an hour we can't tell the history of hockey in northeastern Minnesota, so we didn't really try to tell the entire history. We're trying to hit some of the high points, but it's really more about hockey culture and the heritage of hockey in our region, and we have just so many great examples. Every high school and every town that has a hockey tradition has some famous players that came from that town that might have played in the Olympics, played in college, maybe became professional, and we just don't have the time to tell all those stories, so we tried to pick and choose a few of interesting stories, but it really is about the culture of hockey. Of
course, the Hockey Hall of Fame is located in Eveleth, and there's a great history of hockey in that city. What did you learn?
It's amazing. I'm an Iron Ranger myself, and I thought I knew a lot about hockey, but when I really started to dive into Eveleth, it is incredible. I mean, it started in the 20s. They had professional hockey teams in Eveleth, and they had the Hippodrome even way back then. They had a local hockey arena that was just a draw, and the Hippodrome became the place, and the players saw those pros who were all recruited from Canada, by the way, and they wanted to play hockey, and so Eveleth just turned into this hockey factory. It's an amazing story.
And you have a clip also. We want to make sure we get that in.
Yep,
set it up.
Absolutely. The clip is about the hockey heritage, or the sports center in Duluth, the Heritage Sports Center in Duluth. Great story, and it's a perfect example of hockey and hockey history.
I liken it to like a field of dreams, like in the baseball movie, where there's ideal little baseball field in the middle of nowhere. Well, here we have an ideal hockey rink that's iconic in so many ways. Well, my name is Patrick Francisco. I grew up in the west side of Duluth, went to Denfeld High School, played hockey at UMD, love this community, love Duluth. I'm a volunteer in the Heritage Center project. There were, first of all, lots of folks involved in this effort. The impetus was the burning down of Peterson Arena near Wheeler Field. And then the idea just kind of grew. It grew into a bigger concept, a concept of historic renovation of these historic buildings here at the Essentia Health Duluth Heritage Sports Center. It grew into economic development and broadening our mission that went beyond hockey, included the Boys and Girls Club and sports camps and so forth.
It was a totally volunteer effort that put this thing together, and what we wanted to do is not only have an ice sheet for the kids to skate on, the high school teams to skate on, but we wanted to celebrate the heritage of hockey in Duluth. I'm Jerry Freiberger, and I was introduced to hockey in about 1943. It's a first-class facility. It's got a lot of warmth, and of course the heritage adds tremendous to it.
Looks like a show that anybody can enjoy, not just those who are rabid hockey fans.
Absolutely. There's a lot of really neat, things in there, both the history and just, it's so fun to watch those little mites play. That's probably almost my favorite level. They chase the puck around, and Duluth is the only city left in North America that still plays outdoor hockey. Leagues are playing outdoors, so it's quite unique.
Huh.
And now both of these are going to be part of our membership drive here at Channel 8.
Yep.
And I understand there's an event that is associated with yours for those who pledge at a certain level.
Well, thanks to the local brewers, they said, yes, we'll help you do a tasting. So
Wonderful.
members who become contributors during our Monday broadcast or the following Monday or whenever get a ticket or get a choice to have a ticket to this event where they get to sample, meet the brewmasters, and then stick around for music by Big Wave Dave and the Ripples.
Wow.
And that's at the Rex, and it's going to be a blast.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
How important are these documentaries to our local region and to the membership drives?
They're very important. In fact, we consistently have some of our best viewing audience for our local documentaries, and it's just proven over the years that people really love local history. They love to see their friends and their neighbors. You know, Karen produced Venture North for 15 years, and Venture North that's what that show was about, going out and finding out what do people do. Now she's doing the playlist. It's all that entertainment and the artists. People just love to see what their neighbors are doing, and we've got great stories here in our region.
Well, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Greg,
Thank
now
you both.
you're a ringer for us whenever we need a guest. Here in Sunderman, Greg Grell, thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
luck
you.
with your shows.
It's time now for the week's top business stories from Business North. Rapids Brewing Company, which originally planned to locate in Grand Rapids' historic Old Central School, has purchased a different building from the city. The company will use the site for its $3 million production facility, restaurant, and entertainment venue. Rapids Brewing is owned by Ed Zabinski, a former banker and city councilor, and Matt Leitonen, former president of Magnetation. The project was delayed because Zabinski was a city councilor last year and he could not buy a city-owned structure until 2017. The development is expected to employ 13 and open by the fourth quarter.
The future of Minnesota's iron mining industry lies in the production of direct reduced iron, also called DRI, and not standard taconite pellets. That's according to Cliff's chief executive, Lorenzo Gonzalez, speaking in Duluth last Friday. Gonzalez suggested a DRI plant would generate jobs in the growing electric arc steel mill industry rather than building another pellet plant in Nashwauk. He questioned the ability of Mesabi Metallics to successfully complete the bankrupt SR mining and processing plant, saying there are no domestic taconite customers on the market, which would make financing impossible.
Well, the Bayfield County Tourism Office is using technology to help keep riders safe on outdoor trails and showcase what the area has to offer with the Avena app. Users can download a Bayfield County map to their mobile device and then locate themselves on the map using GPS technology when they're out on the trail. The free application can also help people provide their exact location to emergency responders should they ever get into an accident. For more on these and other stories, visit businessnorth.com.
If you have a comment about our show this week, now is the time to call. Dial 218-788-2849 to leave a message or send an email to almanacnorth@wdse.org. Don't forget the WDSE website when you are looking for the latest program information, updates on station events, and other news from public television. And Denny, as we mentioned earlier, the Public TV membership drive begins this weekend, and that means that Almanac North is off the next 2 Fridays.
But that doesn't mean we won't be watching television. There will be some great programs here on 8.
Great programs. I hope all of you watch them and take the opportunity to call in with your membership because it is really important.
Yes, for sure.
All right. We'll be back again on Friday, March 24th with our next live show. For Denny and the crew here at Almanac North, I'm Julie Zenner. Have a great weekend.